Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Victory Monday. Your Buccaneers are in fuego. My Lord, what a win over the Chargers, dropping a 40 spot on the number one scoring defense in the NFL. What the F is going on in Tampa Bay? And, of course, Get Up and all the rest of the shows. Don't even mention the Buccaneers. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Let's keep it that way. Because there is no poll. There is no committee. All you got to do is win, baby. And you keep on advancing. Welcome into a Victory Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. I am your humble host, along with Nick Geddes from On3 Sports, joining me here in our South Tampa studio. Good morning to you, my friend. You're all buccaneered out.
I know. I even went with the creamsicle route today, which
I like.
Feels like bad luck, honestly. Like, I don't really know what I'm setting myself up for here.
Yeah.
But
we're not wearing them anymore, are we?
No, we're not we're not wearing them anymore. We probably
we're hosting a playoff game. Let's go creamsicle. No.
Yeah, no. I don't really know what I'm doing. If I'm being completely frank with you, like, I don't really have much Bucks apparel anymore.
I like it.
So
I like it.
This is all I had.
Everything Bucks is to be celebrated right now. Yeah. Everything Bucks is to be celebrated.
It's a Victory Monday after all.
It is. What a fantastic display of guts. And I love what some of the guys said, like the travel was good, the practice was good, like everybody zeroed in. And yes, full disclosure, I thought the Bucs would lose a close game and not score many points this week against a really good Chargers defense in a game that they really needed to win. I'm not going to make any excuses for the Chargers. Were they looking ahead to the Broncos game on Thursday night? Well, if they were, you screwed yourself, even though that's obviously a much bigger game for them in terms of their playoff hunt. But this was a game where they needed to show up. Maybe they took the Bucs lightly. I don't know, but that was an ass kicking. And listen, it was very much a game. And that second quarter, I think we were all like, oh God, here we go again with Baker Mayfield throwing a bad pick and then almost throwing another bad pick down at about the 3-yard line. There were a couple of turnover-worthy plays from Baker Mayfield, but as we've said so often, he's a gunslinger, and don't change a thing. Yeah, we'd like you to protect the ball a little bit more in those situations. I know, but I can't sit here and say, against good teams, you're going to lose those games. Well, guess what? Against good teams, they just keep cranking out touchdowns. And you can overcome turnovers when you're lighting up the scoreboard for over 500 yards and 40 points against the number one scoring defense in football. I mean, that was impressive on so many levels. And it underscores, number one, how good Liam Cohen is as a play caller and as a designer and a game plan designer. He's absolutely fantastic. And we already hear people in the comments. Bucks Basement is always already talking about firing Todd Bowles.
Calls for the firing of Todd Bowles after a 4-game win streak.
Which I did 4 weeks ago. Saying inevitably we're going to have to do it.
Completely normal.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. This was the game. You beat 3 middling teams, and that's kind with the Giants and the Panthers, and
that's very kind.
That's very kind.
Giants.
That's very kind. But this is a team that we all said, okay, this is going to be a tough one. You're probably going to lose this one, and then you go out and not only do you not lose, but you put a 40 spot on. And the game was in doubt. There's no question about it. I thought it was an interesting. It was an interesting flow of the game because, the Bucks come out and they score first, but the Chargers answer right back. And then, it's kind of a back and forth, but there were a couple of, I thought, really key plays. And Levante David was a freaking baller yesterday. There was one play, and I don't know if you saw this in the third quarter, where he blitzes, okay? And then Quentin Johnson catches about a 10-yard hook. He turns around, hauls ass, and smokes him from behind when I thought he was going to cause a fumble. I mean, 34 years old. This dude is rushing the passer, turning around and sprinting downfield to make a primary tackle on a wide receiver 15 yards downfield. Who the hell does that? He was all over the field. Big sacks. The Jamel Dean interception, that was Levante David, quick pressure in the face, makes Herbert throw off his back foot, a horrible throw. He caused that turnover. I thought he was the best player on defense yesterday, and Kancey wasn't far behind. They were so good on third down. 0 for 6, the Chargers were on third down. 0 for 6. And getting Herbert to throw a pick for the first time in 367 passes, the almost the fourth longest streak in NFL history, one short of Tom Brady. And then Mike Evans is just still a man among boys. And the play to Mike Evans that down the field, the kind of the skinny post that Baker rips from the 44-yard line, a frozen rope over the safety in front of the corner, right in the breadbasket of Mike Evans. That was a grown-ass man throw. And Baker with 4 tutties on the day. A couple of bad moments, but again, he can overcome that with what he's working with. Jalen McMillan, 5 catches, 75 yards, now becoming a dependable second option. Cade Otton doing what he did. And then there's Bucky Irving, who had only 19 yards in the first half. I didn't think he was going to play much this week. And then in the second half, Liam Cohen comes out when that third quarter was when this game was decided. And what does he do? He runs Bucky 3 straight times and he rips off a couple of big ones. And now you're starting to really demoralize that defense. And I thought those were that third quarter when they started on that run of 6 straight stops and 5 straight scoring drives. I mean, that is dominant football.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. It's great to watch and the effort that these guys are playing with. I give Todd Bowles a ton of credit. His defense is number 1 in scoring since the bye week. And that's without Antoine Winfield Jr., without Mike Edwards, without a bunch of guys. And his defense is getting better. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, listen, the 3 games before, they faced who? Tommy DeVito, Bryce Young, and Aiden O'Connell / Desmond Ritter. So not exactly a murderer's row. But we all knew going into this one, given how well Justin Herbert has played, this was going to be the measuring stick game for the Buccaneers. If your defense is really starting to turn a corner here in the second half of the season, kind of like they did last year, go out and prove it today. And now, granted, Justin Herbert was hurt coming into this game. And I think it was clear if you watch that game, he was having some issues moving. And also, too, the Chargers had 0 run game. Without J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards can't move anymore like he used to. Vidal was no threat. They had no running game. I think they ran for 30. Clear, yeah. I think they ran for 30 yards in that football game. And then outside of Ladd McConkey, is there anybody that scares you necessarily on the Chargers?
No.
In their skill position group? Not really. And so I say all that, but at the end of the day,
Stone Smart.
Yeah. Quentin Johnston, who if the Bucs could tackle, he shouldn't have scored on that first touchdown that they had.
Yep.
And that's when I thought it was going to be a long day for the Buccaneer defense. When the Chargers go 10 plays, 70 yards, and they have like 4 guys around Quentin Johnston and they can't tackle him at all.
Tyke Smith misses him.
Yeah. So then they get a field goal after that. Then they get a touchdown off the Baker Mayfield interception. And you mentioned the stops. The Chargers went 3 plays, 9 yards. They went 3 plays, 6 yards, 5 plays, 14 yards, an interception, 2 plays, 0 yards, turnover on downs, 8 plays, 33 yards, turnover on downs, 4 plays, 25 yards. And then at the end of the day, a fumble on the first play. Like you said, that's dominance.
Dominant.
That is absolutely dominant. And I don't care who you're playing. And so I know like the offense scored 40. To me, the offense scoring 40 and putting up 500 yards and the running game going for 220 yards, it's almost like, yeah, okay, we've seen that. It's kind of where we're at this moment. But the fact that they got this much help from the defense and the Bucs finally found a way to play complementary football, also didn't have to use the punter. So the one part of the game that scares you the most about the Bucs, they didn't even have to use yesterday. Mm-hmm. So
how about that?
That's a good stat right there. So
against the number 1 scoring defense in football, you didn't even punt.
Didn't even punt. It's like if Baker Mayfield doesn't throw 1 interception, we're talking about a 40-10 game.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah. It's dominant stuff. And then you look at the rest of the NFC and the NFL for that matter. And suddenly the Lions are without
everybody.
Alan McNeil is now out, probably out for the year. Carlton Davis III, he may be out for the year. Khalil Dorsey, starting corner. He's out for the year. And they're already beaten up. Aiden Hutchinson has a fractured tibia. He's not coming back until maybe late in the playoffs. So now Anzalone out with a broken forearm. I mean, how you feeling, Bucks fans? How you feeling?
The Eagles win their 10th consecutive game that they got coaches and players going after each other on the sideline.
That's weird.
It's so bizarre what's going on in Philadelphia.
It smells a lot like the end of last year, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they keep winning though. You're waiting for them just to start losing, but it ain't happening. So there's kind of dysfunction in Philly, even though they're winning through it. The Lions have all these injuries. The Commanders, I don't think, are the same team as they were at the beginning of the year.
No.
Even when they're squeaking out wins yesterday against the Spencer Rattler-led Saints. So it's you're starting to look at the NFC, and it's
why not us?
Why not you? Or Minnesota or Green Bay? Those are the teams that aren't getting talked about as much, and they're the ones that are playing the best football right now.
Yeah, the Lions at 12-2 lost yesterday and gave up 40 points again. The Vikings at 11-2 suddenly look like they had won 6 in a row now.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for them to lose.
Right.
They're not.
And Sam Darnold just keeps playing great football.
Yeah.
And he's got really good weapons in Addison and Jefferson. They've got a bit of a running game. I mean, that's why they're 11-2 right now. The Packers at 10-4 just destroyed Seattle last night, 30-14, I believe it was. So their defense got me 17 points in the playoffs. Thank you very much. Got a 99% chance of winning this game, getting into the championship game, maybe against John Smoltz. We shall see. And then Patrick Mahomes goes down with what looked like another severe ankle injury. Now, last year, after that ankle injury, I was like, there's no way they win the Super Bowl. That guy can't even walk. And, of course, he proved me wrong, came back and ran for big plays all throughout the playoffs. So you can never count him out. That guy's some kind of Gumby thing going on with his legs. But still, there's adversity all over the league. The Steelers lose yesterday. They're 10-4. The Ravens win. But, they're 9-5. They're not dominant.
They've been a little flaky at times.
They're flaky, yeah. The Bills at 11-3, their defense is a sieve as well. So, I mean, there's no dominant team out there. Is that fair to say?
I think we thought it was Detroit.
Yeah.
But
they're just too banged up.
They're just way too banged up. They can score with anybody in the league. We know that. Mm-hmm. There's not a complete team, though, that does everything, I think, well-rounded to a point outside of probably Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota's probably the most well-rounded team in the league.
But do you believe in Sam Darnold?
It's always going to come back to that.
Yeah. And, of course, they said the same thing and say the same thing about Baker Mayfield, but he keeps proving people wrong. And, again, a huge 21-yard scramble on third down when they need it. He's using his legs tremendously well. Had 2 other third down scrambles called back with holding penalties. I mentioned the throw to Evans down the middle, which is that's a wow throw. That is a wow
That's one of the
throw.
best throws I think Baker's ever made.
I know. He could step up in the pocket. They had that nice picture from the sky cam behind him, and the pocket was nice, and he stepped up. You can see him just flip his hips right into it, and it's just, that's just, for a quarterback, that's just, you let it rip like that, and you put him right in stride. That's indefensible. You cannot defend that ball. But it also goes to show you how dangerous Baker is. And the velocity of his throws, I thought, yesterday were as good as I've seen it all year. I think he's starting to get a little healthier. He had the ankle and maybe a bit of a knee. So he looked pretty healthy yesterday. That's as fast as I've seen him move in a while. So you got a Baker Mayfield that is playing incredibly confident football, so much so that maybe too confident. He's making he still teams make 2 or 3 throws that you're just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? The one pick was behind Evans and it was late, not great. And then the one, Mike Evans basically
bailed him out
big time. And that was another horrible throw and horrible decision. But, they're getting it done. And by the way, he's not the only one that does this. Okay. I'm not watching every snap that Sam Darnold takes, but I'm guessing he's throwing a few of those each and every game as well.
So Jared Goff had threw 5-6 interceptions in one game earlier this year.
Yeah.
Stafford's probably the best example of it. I love Matt Stafford, but Matt Stafford will throw 4 or 5 passes a game where it's the hell is Stafford doing?
And those are the guys that win championships too. Guys,
you got to take risks.
That's right. You got to take risks in this league. You're going to, as long as you're throwing 4 tutties and throwing for 300 yards every week, we can absorb 1 or 2 picks a game.
Yeah, and I went back to look too. Like even if you look at some of the Bucks offenses over the years, go back to Brady. I mean, even Brady threw 12 picks in 2020, and I think he threw like 5 or 6 interceptions during that playoff run.
Yeah,
if you recall.
Remember the Packers game? He threw 3 picks in.
Yeah,
that game.
he was interception happy. He threw 12 picks even the next year, where he was like the most efficient quarterback in the league. Like it's going to happen to the best in the league, but I think we always talk about Baker's best trait is sometimes it snowballs, usually just in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the second quarter real quick, because this is no longer a trend. This is like who the Bucks are at this point. They are guaranteed to self-implode on themselves in the second quarter.
It's like the Lightning's second period.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about what's going on here with Tampa Bay teams, but yesterday we saw it happen again with the pick, the subsequent fumble. Both of those turn into points for the Chargers. And I'm like, okay, you got away with it against 3 really bad teams. I don't think you can get away with it against the Chargers. And somehow they did, because the defense obviously stepped up, as we already mentioned, and they were dominant in the second half. And the offense outside of the second quarter this year has just been a top 3 offense in all football, which is what the numbers say. Baker Mayfield has 14 interceptions this year. 10 of them have come in the second quarter.
That's weird.
10 of them.
That is just weird.
I don't know what happens to this team in the second quarter, but they probably need to figure that out. But the fact that it hasn't come back to bite them yet is pretty crazy.
Here's some interesting post-game notes from the Buccaneers PR department. Tampa Bay is now 8-1 in December and January games dating back to the start of last season, and 20-5 dating back to the start of the 2020 season. And I think this is a little bit of Brady residue as well. What did Brady say? One of the things I always talk about that we learned from him is you got to get better in November and December.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is when you start figuring out who you are, what you do well, and really start to figure out how to implement that each and every week, accentuate your positives, and enforce your will on other teams. So I kind of wanted to look at that right now in terms of, that where are the Bucs right now? Well, first and foremost, they run the football against anybody they want to run the football against. They've gone up against the best run defenses in the league, and they've run it down their throats almost every single time. The Bucs are, I believe, second in the league now in yards per carry.
4 in yards per game.
Yeah, 4 in yards per game, second in yards per carry. And they just, when they want to run the ball, they run the ball. And what does that do? That rests your defense, that controls the clock, that keeps the defense off guard. It's harder to rush the passer when you've got to be on point for the run game. You can just see it against Bosa and Khalil Mack. Those guys could never get off because Liam Cohen has got Baker Mayfield with the second fastest release time in the league. He's getting the ball out of his hands. He's still scrambling a little bit too much for my likings. That's when he starts to get in trouble. But it's also when he makes big plays. The big play to Evans down the sideline, which was probably the biggest momentum swing of the game. I mean, that's a third down where it's at one point of that down, you're like, oh crap, he's moving to his left. Bad things happen sometimes, and he finds Evans, who somehow I forget the guy that got the pick, doesn't push Evans out of bounds, and for the Chargers don't rally, and here's Mike Evans just running through the entire secondary for the touchdown to give them the lead they would never relinquish. And that to me was a absolute quintessential great play by Baker Mayfield. But it was also, and I think really nicely pointed out by Mark Sanchez, there was a tight end or a TE tackle, a DE tackle game they were running up front where they have to pass it off. The offensive linemen have to pass it off. And it's tough when you've got great pass rushers like Bosa and Khalil Mack. The offensive line did a fabulous job of just giving Baker some room to maneuver and get outside. And once he got outside, he was able to make a play. This offensive line is absolutely dominating other teams in the run game and in the pass game. They really, really know what they're doing. They've come into their own. That last year, that stupid zone blocking scheme where they're trying to just move people off the ball where they didn't have the personnel to do it. And running up the middle was so frustrating to watch with Dave Canales. Well, Liam Cohen's figured out it's a very athletic line. Obviously, with Graham Barton as an addition, it gives you a lot more things to do as well with his athleticism and his how stout he is at the point of attack. And it's really, you're controlling games now with your offensive line. You got a hell of a running back in Bucky Irving, who's not only explosive but tough as hell to continue to play through these injuries. And Rashad White is just, he does it all. The touchdown catch that he had yesterday was a great job of being patient and then using power at the end. I mean, he's impressed me more. I think he's improved more than maybe any player on this offensive side this year. He has been tremendous and a huge part of everything they do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition for that because I was immediately going to go to Cody Mauch, who I think very quietly, if you go back and watch some of the film, and I saw some clips this morning, Cody Mauch is bullying people. He's destroying people.
Yeah.
I mean, and the offensive line to me is the greatest thing that I think I've seen here because remember how bad it was in 2022 after Marpet's retirement? And you were thinking, man, they're really going to have to rebuild this thing. And it's going to take some time. And it's going to take some time. And 2 years later, I mean, Tristan Wirfs going to left tackle. We obviously know Tristan is unbelievable. He's still
playing probably 60, 70%.
Exactly. We're not even seeing the fully healthy Tristan Wirfs. I think he's only given up 7 pressures all year, which, by the way, is the least amount of any tackle in football. Guess who's number 2 on that list? Luke Gedeke.
How about that?
With 12. Luke Gedeke's going to get a big-time extension this offseason, and it's damn deserved. And remember the way Luke Gedeke started his NFL career?
That was awful.
And he was unplayable out of position.
Terrible.
And we put him back out to right tackle, which is what he played in college. And voila, the Bucs have one of the best left-right tackle tandems in the entire NFL, probably going to be together for the next 7-10 years, hopefully.
Let's hope so.
And then you have Mauch playing exceptional at right guard. You know, Barton still has certain moments that he's still, it's his rookie year in the NFL. But in general, he's playing solid.
Really well.
Bredesen, kind of like Mauch, very quiet, having a really nice year, the best football he's ever played. And he's a guy that you got off the streets on a 1-year deal for like $3 million.
Yeah.
Like, what a bargain. And then even like the other 2 guys who've had to play this year in reserve roles, I would argue that Justin School has never played better in his life. When we've seen him come in for Tristan Wirfs, there wasn't really like a big downfall. And Bob Hainsey's probably the best, swing or
offensive lineman,
reserve interior offensive lineman in the league.
Yeah.
Like, and all these guys, this is all Jason liked.
Yeah. And Kevin Carberry.
Offensive
line coach. Absolutely. Let's give him a lot of credit.
Yeah,
Liam Cohen.
He deserves credit. All these guys do, but Jason again, just finding these guys in the draft and everything.
Well, and the scheme is part of it too. And that's one of the things that, and we'll get into it with some of our commenters here because we can't lose Liam Cohen. We can't lose Liam Cohen.
And I've seen so many people today, or yesterday after the game, like the Orlovskis of the world and a lot of other analysts were saying, I know they're doing the whole thing. I know Ben Johnson's getting all the hype, but Liam Cohen needs to be getting looks. And I'm like, shut up.
Shut up, Dan.
Shut up, Dan.
Shut up, Dan. But everybody knows it. Everybody can see the numbers.
Right.
He's getting a lot of run. And this is definitely not the day to talk about this, but, Bucks Basement won't let us not do it. He says, we cannot afford to have a repeat of Canales from last year. Every touchdown Cohen and the offense score was one more team perking up at Cohen. This is why having a defensive head coach is a problem. And he continues, sorry, Bowles, but this is a business, and the Bucs would be complete and utterly stupid to have Cohen walk out the door to keep a defensive coach. The Glazers got to do what's right by the team's future. He ain't wrong. But it's, like I said, is not the time to talk about that. But it's going to happen. And you got to let the season play out. And as excited as we are about this win over the Chargers, and I think it definitely takes the rest of the league by storm. I think a lot of the league, this morning Get Up, I don't think had any anything on the Bucs. Just watching some of the shows last night, it wasn't a big part of the theme. But I think as people wake up Monday morning, they start looking at the standings and they look at that score, they're going to go, whoa. Wait a minute, what's going on in Tampa Bay? And then they're going to start looking inside the numbers of the offense and how well the defense has played since the bye week. Obviously, we take into consideration the competition. I get it. But you got to take note. Everybody says you don't want to play if the Rams get to the playoffs, you don't want to play the Rams. You don't want to play the Bucs. You don't want to play the Bucs. And by the way, that offense travels. That run offense travels on the road. If they got to go to, wherever they need to go, that travels too if they have play outdoors. So nobody wants to play the Bucs right now. And hopefully, they get Antoine Winfield Jr. back for the playoffs. I think that's something.
Well, I would still argue that I think opposing offensive coordinators and head coaches would take their chance ultimately with the Bucs. I know the Bucs defense is playing better.
Yeah.
But I still would argue that teams would like to take their chances against that secondary and that coverage unit, because yesterday again was like something we haven't seen in a long time. The Bucs had 7 unblocked pressures in that football game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been basically the difference of why the Todd Bowles philosophy just hasn't worked out as well as it should have this year, is because those are not usually getting home. Yesterday they did.
Yep.
And you saw what happened. The Chargers couldn't do anything on third down. They couldn't run the football. And obviously those things, that's paramount to what Todd Bowles wants to do. It happened yesterday. It hasn't really happened for much of the season. So I still am always going to have those concerns with the defensive backfield. I just am.
Yeah.
But the offense, I don't think they have a flaw. Like, where is the flaw? I was even telling you before we started the show, even guys who don't even play that much, like Ko Keith, for example, there's plays where I'm watching Ko Keith. He's taking guys out of the equation in the run game. And Ko Keith has never blocked like this before.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is playing to a better standard on offense right now. Even McMillan, like Jalen McMillan, now all of a sudden has 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. And to me, it's all coaching, because all 3 of those touchdowns they've been very creative ways to scheme him to get open. Like, Liam Cohen is doing a masterful job of getting the best out of every player right now. And that's why it's such a beautiful sight to watch. And that's why there's so many Bucs fans that are like, there's no way this guy can leave.
Yeah, I get it. And, as we mentioned before, and I think this is the theme of this show and what this week showed us, is they're getting better. Those unblocked pressures, because they're executing better defensively, right? I mean, it's not that, everybody sees it on the tape. They see it. They know it's coming, but they don't know where it's coming from. And the Bucs are executing it. Their timing, their disguise is really, really good. They were getting better as the year goes on. All right, offensively, same thing, where they weren't necessarily executing in the pass game very well. I think Jalen McMillan has stepped up now.
Just having Mike back.
Obviously Sterling Shepard. Oh, if we had Godwin. Can you imagine this offense with Chris Godwin right now?
I can't. To me, it's already the best offense. And I'm going to say something that I know probably is a hot take. I think this is the best offense in the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you can tell me about the Brady ones and the 2021 offense was crazy good.
It was.
This one, I think, is on pace, actually, if you look at the numbers, to score more points than that offense did.
Well, the end of the year 2020 offense was pretty damn good.
Yeah. But
that was historic.
To me, that one had Brady and Gronk and AB and Mike and Chris. Like, you had all the names and everything. Yeah. This offense doesn't really have all the names. And they're doing better than those offenses did at this point in a season.
And I don't know. I mean, obviously, playoff Lenny had its moments.
You never ran the ball like this.
But I don't think they ran it like this.
No.
I don't think they ran it like this.
No.
There was much more explosion.
If you would have put a Bucky Irving, for example, into that offense in 2021, Byron Leftwich aside, I think the Bucs win a Super Bowl again.
Yeah. I still think you got to get, I'm nitpicking here, but I still think I'd like to see Bucky get a little bit more involved in the passing game, get him out in space a little bit more. But I think they're, as they said yesterday in the broadcast, they had to be judicious with him. Even though he got 15 touches in the run game, you got to be no more 25 carry games for him. Let's hope that's over, because you got enough good running backs you can share the load.
I felt like they were easing him into the game, and then he ripped off a 54-yard run seemingly out of nowhere. And then after that, it was like, all right, he's okay. Let's go back to Bucky now. And they finished with 220 yards on the ground.
Good morning to you, Rick, who says, dare I say Baker can have turnovers and the defense bailed them out. Christmas miracle. Yeah.
Christmas miracle. Jamel Dean got an interception. That's when I knew the Bucs were going to win the football game. That is actually the moment I knew.
Hit him in the hands, but he actually caught it this time.
A little bit of a tough play to make, and he made it.
Yeah. Quentin Johnson didn't help out his receiver much. But to me, that was Levante. That was Levante, quick pressure. And, Justin Herbert does not put the ball in harm's way. No. But he did right there. Christopher Cole, good morning to you. Yes, it is indeed a victory Monday. James says, like I said, this Bucs offense is night and day better than last year. Their run game is unique. Teams can't stop it. So Bucs only scored 10 points yesterday. My concern was D allowing 30. Yeah. I didn't think the Bucs offense would be able to score. I thought they would turn it over and the Chargers would take advantage of it, but they didn't. They turned it over a couple times and early on, but that's the other thing. This team has, and I keep saying this, it has championship DNA. When they that second quarter could have been a disaster. Like you blew the lead, You gave up 2 turnovers. You were in trouble right before the half. You were in trouble. You felt the game was about to tip, but they just keep coming at you with the run game, with the pass game. Mike Evans makes a couple of big plays. Baker uses his legs to get a huge third down, and they own third down. They were 8 for 12 offensively, and the Chargers were 0 for 6. Like, I think it's the 4th time in Bucs history that they've held the team to over on third down.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive stuff.
And by the way, too, I almost feel like we've messed up here 30 minutes in, and we sort of mentioned him a little bit, and it's Mike Evans. And I just want to point this out, by the way. Let's keep in mind that Mike Evans goes off for 9 for 159 yesterday and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans has multiple injuries right now that he's dealing with.
Yeah,
multiple injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans is not even practicing. He's not even running or practicing or doing anything during.
Most of these guys aren't practicing.
Most of these guys aren't. But I mentioned Mike because Mike's an 11-year veteran now in this league who missed 4 games. He's 31 years old. He's not a spring chicken. Most receivers, if you haven't paid attention, when they get into their 30s, you know what starts happening? They start to decline or they start to get hurt. Now, Mike has gotten hurt and missed games, but Mike's come right back. And the 4 games that he's had, I would argue, are the 4 best games he's had since all year.
Right.
To be honest with you. I mean, we are watching, I know we know it, but I can't say it enough. We are watching a special player. Obviously, we know he's a special human being, but he's a special player that we are so fortunate to have. And it's just the fact that he has all these injuries, it's not practicing, and he continues to perform every single week to this level. He's going to get to 1,000 yards. Like, I believe it. I think he's 287 away.
Yeah, only needs to average, I think, 83 per game
now.
I
think we started where he needed 105, and he's been able to cut into that a significantly amount. So I think he's going to get it with somehow missing 4 games, which is just another tip into his. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. We know it. That's
a no-brainer. But the fact that, the way he is playing now, the dominant football that he is playing now and winning games, and he's just not stat stuffing. Every one of these catches is a big catch. It's a third down catch.
These are new plays that we haven't seen Mike make before. Like getting all this yak and everything last 2 weeks. It's not usually Mike's game.
Well, I think he was 4 for 4 on third downs with the touchdown. I mean, that's money ball. That's big time money ball. What else we got here from Nathan Elliott says, key play, Baker nearly throws a second pick and Mike Evans broke up the interception. Chargers quarterback Hartville had a concussion and never returned to the game. This is when the Bucs turned on the heat. It's a great point. That was a big moment in the game. Look, you got to get in a game like that. You got to have some luck. That injury kind of went their way. They had a couple of fortunate bounces, but that's that happens every week. It's a week-to-week league. We say this all the time. Injuries, matchups matter. And the Bucs are doing a great job hiding their injuries, especially on the defense. And, I thought Merriweather, I thought has played as good as you could possibly expect him to play the last couple of weeks since Antoine went down.
I would even say, tremendous. Too, Vi Jones is not special. Vi Jones, I don't notice him as much, and I mean that in a good way.
I think he only played 1 defensive snap yesterday, and he got a forced fumble.
There you go.
He actually had 2 forced fumbles on back-to-back plays on a special teams play, and then I
guess that's why I didn't notice him, because I was like, I know Vi played a lot more the week prior, right?
Yeah, he did, and J.J. Russell played well early on. J.J. Russell played well early on.
He was out there and he makes a play. So
James says Baker has 35 total TDs. Okay, he makes some bad throws, but the benefits far outweigh the negatives. Just his scrambling alone is huge, yet many media outlets still criticize him. I'm not talking about you guys. Yeah, I know. Well, there were radio guys in this market that said he sucked. It would never amount to anything. That's kind of not aged well. What else? John Hill, good morning to you, my friend. By the way, we love Baker after the signing. LA Chargers may have been looking forward to Thursday night's game against Denver with a quarterback with wrapped ankles. I said that earlier in the show. That may be true. Who cares?
I don't care. This is the third most yards Jim Harbaugh has ever had put on him.
500 yards.
500 plus yards. Only the third time that's happened against a Jim Harbaugh team.
Good morning to you, Michael LaRue, who says the Bucs cannot let Liam Cohen leave. Yes, we know this. We don't want to talk about it right now. We just don't want to talk about it. Let's just keep rolling. Let's not turn into the Philadelphia Eagles here. James says Colin Coward with a half-ass Bucks compliment saying, hey, they might be able to beat maybe an Eagles or Lions team. Have you read his schedule? They already beat them. Seriously, we already did. Brucey does zero research. I mean, yeah.
And until yesterday, nobody had beaten Detroit or the Eagles since the Bucks did it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Bucks Rays Bolt says Bucks beat Eagles and Lions and Commanders and LA Chargers, 4 playoff teams faced this season, and we won. Yeah, that's what's really impressive. This team, as much as we hate them playing down to the competition, they also play up to the competition.
Yeah, and can you imagine? It's like if they would just. I know it sucks. It's not worth it to go back in time, but like they're 8-6 right now. I feel pretty good about their spot in regards to winning the NFC South. And it's just like if you could just hold on to one of those games against Atlanta, if you could finish against Kansas City,
the number 1 seed in the NFC,
which granted nobody can seem to finish against Kansas City, so whatever. If you could, what was the other one? San Francisco. If you were able to just get just a little bit more out of your offense in that football game,
yeah.
I mean, the Bucks could be with a 10-win, 11 football team. They could be at the top of the conference as it is. They're not, but I think they've shown me that they have that potential. Like other than the Baltimore game, for example, and then the Denver game, which I think was just weird for everybody involved.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the Bucks get completely I could say they can't play with these teams. They absolutely can.
They can. And I think it's part of their championship DNA because they just don't quit. Even when they get into those moments where you see other teams spiral, where we've seen other Buccaneers teams spiral, they don't do that. They keep playing and they keep playing. John Hill says, would Tom Brady, my ownership in Raiders, help to encourage the Raiders to beat the Falcons? I think that the Falcons will encourage the Falcons to lose the game. They're just so bad right now. Baker Mayfield's got to be in the MVP conversation. Nick Gaddis, what do you think?
It's a little crowded field right now. And I don't know if you watched 17 on Buffalo yesterday, but
he's pretty good.
I think he might have just wrapped it up or, 8 for the Baltimore wouldn't be a bad choice again. So,
yeah. Donald Vesey says Tony Dungy always said winning teams tackle in December. That's a good one. I like that. It's a forgotten part of the game. People only bitch about it when you don't do it well, but it's something that the Bucks have really improved on. Their defense has really improved their tackling.
Yeah. Here, you hit this comment, and I'll hit a recent one that just sort of popped me a little bit.
All right, JP. It's also the formations the Bucks run in: 2 tight ends, pulling guards, center pulling. It's just not handing off. It's a scheme that every game they have a huge run of 40 to 50 yards. Bucks is lethal. Yeah, Baker talked about that in the postgame yesterday, talking about all the different formations, 13 personnel, 12 personnel, 11 personnel. They run the same plays out of these different personnel, and it just constantly keeps the other teams guessing where they're going. And and that's why they're so balanced. But they have really good players too with those levels.
And I'll throw this number there about Bucky Irving. And these are simple stats. Only 2 running backs in the NFL have a higher average yards per carry than Bucky Irving in the NFL. And those happen to be Saquon Barkley, who's the best in the league, and Derrick Henry, who's either the best in the league or number 2 best in the league. And obviously a lot of those guys have a lot more volume and everything, so you could argue it's more impressive. I'm not here to tell you it's not. But Bucky Irving, the fact that in his rookie year, not even really getting significant carries until 5-6 games into the season.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 2 guys better than him right now running the football, and he's probably going to get to 1,000 yards. Of course he is actually. He's at 852 right now through 14 games. We still got 3 to go. Bucky Irving's going to be 1,000+ yard rusher in his first season. Rashad's probably going to be somewhere in the 700 range, maybe 800. I mean, I would have killed for one of those guys to get to 700 or 800 this year.
Yeah, and they're a well-balanced team, and the key also. And I don't want to get too crazy about this because it is just it's one win. You can look at a lot of factors. Justin Herbert was not 100%, but again, neither is Baker Mayfield. Were they looking ahead to the Broncos on Thursday night? That could be something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Bucks right now are a team that if you go into the playoffs and you got to come to Tampa Bay, you don't want to play. You don't want to play.
To me, the Bucks have one more thing they need to prove to us, and it's actually going to happen this Sunday. The Bucks need to prove they can win a primetime football game.
Yep.
Because they're 0-3 in primetime this year. This has been their bugaboo.
Interesting.
I know you're facing a Dallas team, and I know it's Dallas. Well, Dallas, you know what, played pretty well against the Panthers, and the Panthers had been, playing everybody pretty stingy lately. Not the Cowboys. Cowboys throttled them, and the Cowboys are actually playing pretty decent football, I'd argue, right now.
Yes.
So it's not going to be an easy game. But yeah, I don't think that game's getting flexed out clearly because Dallas is still in the playoff hunt. The Bucs are in first place, so you're going to be playing on Sunday Night Football. Let's win a primetime football game. Let's get over that hurdle because for whatever reason, that is a hurdle.
Yeah, and you want to put two good games together too. I know they've won 4 in a row, but I would argue the Panthers game was a crappy performance. I would argue the Raiders game, into the third quarter, we were like, what are we doing here? But this was a complete, and even this game, very much in the balance in the third period, but they took control of it and then slammed the door in the fourth quarter, which is hard to do in this league. Really, really hard to do.
Yeah, and I mean, again, back to the offensive line too. I think Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa had 2 pressures in this football game.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, they had they hit Mahomes 11 times last week in the first half. It's 18 times for the game.
Forget hitting Baker. They had 2 pressures combined in this football game.
How about that? And you know what that is? It's running the football. That's what pass rushers hate the most. Stop running. Give me some time to go.
Yeah.
When obvious passing situations, they were in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. They only had 2 3rd and long situations yesterday, and that's going to keep those guys off you. And they converted both of them, by the way. All right, let's take a break. We'll get back to some of the comments as well because there's a lot of other stuff we got to get to today. The Rays doing another salary dump over the weekend. We'll get into that as well. No, it's not, JP. We had to trade it picture. Right. And there's some interesting couple articles over the weekend on the stadium as well. The Bolts finished off a 3-1 road trip. We're going to get to that. All kinds of crazy stuff going on around the world of sports. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. We are in the Jeeves Law Group studio as we speak here in beautiful South Tampa. If you have any legal issue whatsoever, they will give you a free case evaluation. So go to the website, give them a call, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Tremendous attorneys that know the local landscape as well. The Jeeves Law Group, offices Tampa and St. Pete, non-attorney spokesperson. Back in 3. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go! Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Peterson Show here on a Victory Monday. And it's also, what do we got? We got 9 days left to Christmas. Yikes! Holiday season, folks, make her jaw drop. The Golden Diamond Source has the perfect piece to show her she's one of a kind. So if you're looking for a gift that says forever, find stunning engagement rings, diamond bracelets, and more at the Golden Diamond Source because she deserves the best. Don't settle for anything less than perfection. At the Golden Diamond Source, we make it easy to give a gift that she will never forget. The Golden Diamond Source experts have the perfect gift for everyone without dealing with all the mall madness. You get right there in the parking lot. You roll right in. You got the folks waiting on you. If you like a cocktail or a drink or something, they'll help you out, from statement necklaces to elegant diamond rings and earrings. It's the Golden Diamond Source. And you can finance your purchase 0% for up to 5 years. So you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $84 a month. Visit the Golden Diamond Source today, where you always find the perfect gift. I can never think of the perfect gift. I can't what am I going to get her? What am I going to get? When you go in there, you see all the great stuff and you're like, that's what she needs. That's why you go to the Golden Diamond Source. Or you just say, I don't know what to get her. And the great folks there will help you out and find something perfect. So head on over there and tell them JP sent you. All right. You want to finish up on some of the Buck stuff here, and then we'll get on to Bolts and Rays as well.
Yeah.
I guess we have to have this conversation because you folks are just forcing it. Bucks Basement says this is the same team that fired Dungy, whom has the far better record than Bowles has ever had as a head coach, but they wanted to get over the hump. The Glazers know the commodity they have in Liam Cohen. Let's just let the season play out. And it may be quite obvious which way you have to go. If they make a long run, well, then Todd Bowles has earned it. If they get bounced or don't make the playoffs, I mean, that's still a possibility. It's still a possibility. You got 3 games left, 2 of which you should definitely win. One at the Cowboys is more of a toss-up. I haven't seen the line yet on this one. I'm if I play guess the line, I'm going to say Bucks are 3.5 point favorites.
3.5, you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say 3.5.
You're right on spot.
Thank you very much. I mean, so obviously that can go either way, but this is where you enforce your will on the other team as a playoff team. We're going to run the football down your throat, Cowboys, and we're going to mix in some play action, and hopefully limit some of the explosive plays for CD Lamb and Dowdle. To the
overarching question here of what do you do with Todd Bowles and Liam Cohen at the end of the year? You mentioned it. Let's let the season play out. That's really all you can. That's really the only answer you can give at the moment is let it play out. To me, context is going to matter. Context is going to matter. If the Bucks get to the divisional round again like they did last year and they lose a football game, and let's say the offense scores 30 but the defense gives up 35, then that's not a good sign for Todd Bowles.
Right.
If it's one of those games where the Bucks offense somehow scores under 20 and they lose a close ball game, then maybe they view it differently. I don't know. I feel like context is going to matter when we get to those games. And also the Glazers, I believe at the beginning of the year said they wanted to see progress. Well, the Bucks got to the divisional round next year. Progress to me is going further, right?
NFC Championship game.
That's what that tells me. So, based on what I've seen this year, the evidence is telling me that if the Bucks are not going to get to that point, it's probably going to be because of Todd Bowles' defense, because this offense is legitimately a top 3 offense in football. So that's why we have to let this play out. We have to see if this defense continues to improve because for what it's worth, they're the number one scoring defense in the league the last 4 weeks. They're starting to play some complimentary football much better than they have at any point this season. Let's see if that continues. So I wish I had a better answer for it, but it's just so difficult to like say that right now. And it's honestly a weird conversation to have. And I granted we're
Especially
having it.
today.
It's a weird conversation to have because you're on a 4-game winning streak and you're in first place in the NFC South, a division that you've already won 3 years in a row. It's like
Historically bad.
Yeah.
Historically bad the last few years.
Yeah.
But still.
It's just the idea that Todd Bowles is not young. He's what, 61 years
62,
old?
I believe.
61, 62. We don't know how long Todd's going to be doing this. Liam Cohen is still, I think, in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs look like they might have the next McVay on their hands, potentially. You don't know.
Everybody's looking for that
Like the Bucs
offensive-minded McVay tree.
Like the Bucs have never had an offensive play caller in
Mm-mm.
50 plus years like this. That's
No.
why this makes this such a unique situation, I think.
Well, also, let's trust in Jason Light and let's trust in the Glazers. Okay? They're not letting Liam Cohen walk out the door. They're just
I'd
not.
make him the highest paid coordinator. I'd pay him a head coach salary to be a coordinator for all I care.
They're not letting that happen. They're not letting that happen. This is where good ownership and a good organization takes over. You're not going to sit here and do a revolving door at the offensive coordinator position. You're not. So I would just say the conversation, I get it. The questions need to be asked, but I'd also say the Glazers know what's up. Had the Bucs lost to the Panthers last year in the last game, Todd Bowles would have been fired. In my opinion.
I would believe so, yeah.
Absolutely 100%. They know where they're sitting, and they watched the season unfold. They saw what happened in certain game management situations. So you sit here on a Victory Monday, and you blow out the Chargers. You know, you don't want to say anything bad about Todd Bowles. You don't want to say anything bad about the team. But, the season is the season. We saw everything play out. Injuries to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, which I think was horrible game management. We've seen some really, really bad defense this year from this Bowles team, although they've picked it up lately against some inferior competition.
I was going to say some of the reasons why the Bucs are not sitting with 10 wins, 11 wins, like I mentioned last segment, is because it to me comes down to some of the things that Todd Bowles can control.
Absolutely. So the Glazers see this.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Light sees it. So let's not go crazy. Let's not be in a panic here. Liam Cohen is not walking out that door. It's not happening.
And also, too, if you look at the landscape right now, I mean, what are the openings? It's the Jets, the Bears, and the Saints at the moment.
And Bill Belichick is not in play for any of those after June 1.
I don't think so. But no, even if you just look at those three situations,
Ben Johnson's getting one of them.
Ben Johnson's going to get one of them. But like, I know the Bears is very enticing. It's always good. The Bears is going to be enticing because of Caleb and you have some weapons, blah, blah, blah. But the Bears are the Bears. They just.
Yeah, but it's also a great place to go from. You got great talent, and the only place you can go is up.
Yeah.
I
don't think Liam Cohen would leave here for New Orleans. I don't know why anybody would want to join that dumpster fire.
You don't have a quarterback.
You have no cap to work with or anything.
You have no cap, no quarterback.
Yeah. And then the Jets. Who wants part of that situation?
Hell to the no. I mean, that's just dysfunction. And you don't even know if Rodgers is coming back.
Yeah. And then if you look at the other ones that are probably going to open, Jacksonville's probably going to open. I don't know if I want that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you got a quarterback that can't be fired, that everybody thinks is fantastic, that really isn't. And if he doesn't flourish, that's all on you. It's nothing to do with him. He's like Teflon.
Yeah,
which I don't think is right. By the way,
you have a franchise that's proven that they do not win.
Yeah, yeah, and you're going to be playing as a gypsy for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and then the only one that
would the stadiums.
Yeah, and then the wild card in the whole coaching carousel is going to be what Dallas does.
Yeah,
because I'm sorry, I mean, if Dallas comes open, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Like,
yeah,
I mean, we can talk about dysfunction, whatever you want with Jerry and all that, but it's the Dallas Cowboys.
But again, I don't think the Glazers are letting him out of the building.
Yeah, I'd like to think so too. I think they understand. They're smart people.
They're very smart people. They understand how this business works. They understand who Todd Bowles is, and they know who Tony Dungy is and his record, and they did what they did.
Yeah.
So, look at the track record, look at who they are, look at what they've done, And
you would have a chance to work. And it's like, so what? You're not the head coach. You're the OC getting to call plays for a quarterback who's going to throw for 40 touchdowns this year, maybe.
who you love and have a great relationship
with.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing better football than he ever has under you. You have not one, not two, but three very capable running backs.
Yeah.
That you have that you can move around with. You have an offensive line that I'd argue is top 5 in all football right now.
Right.
You have Mike Evans, who is still just performing well at his age. Oh, by the way, I like to think they're not going to let Chris Godwin get out of this building either.
Nope.
And especially Chris, you saw if Liam's back, you don't want to play in a Liam Cohen offense again based on what was happening before he got hurt.
So to your point, the only way Liam Cohen leaves is if he wants to leave.
Correct.
And goes and takes another head coaching job. So we just ran down all the jobs. None of those are demonstratively better, including the Cowboys, because, yeah, you know who your quarterback is. He ain't very good. He might get you fired. You don't
have a lot of money to improve that roster.
Right. And you got no running.
And
well, Donald's a pretty good running
and
back.
think of the pressure you have to have Jerry breathing down your neck.
And when that whole dysfunction.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to deal with that? If you have your choice, wouldn't you rather stay with who you're comfortable with, the quarterback that you're comfortable with, that you love, with an ownership group that loves you, that's going to pay you, in a place where, you have a great setup, you have a great offensive line, which is obviously so key, and continuity. I mean, if you're Liam Cohen, you don't want to go start over somewhere else with a lot of unknowns. You want to stay with what you know. Mm-hmm. So to me, Glazers aren't letting him leave. The only way he's leaving is if by his choice. And why would he choose any of these other situations?
Ben Johnson made that decision. No sense. Made that decision last cycle.
Thank you.
He held on, and now guess what? Ben Johnson has better situations to pick from, probably, and he could hold out for another year if he wants to.
Yeah.
If he really wanted to wait for a job to open up that he would want.
TJC, good morning to you. Says I've never seen teams break matchup zone principles more than teams do against the Bucs. Second interception saved by Mike. That defender man was in the flat. Part of me reads Baker forcing to Mike. Yes, I would 100% agree with that. But given your options, do you want to force it to Mike? We almost every one of Baker's interceptions that I can remember is some other guy coming off his man, like TJC just explained, breaking their principles to get to these footballs. Mm-hmm. But that's a tendency. Baker's making the right reads. And, they used to do this against Brady all the time because it was the only way to get him. You got to use his match. It's a chess game, right? He's looking at the defense. Okay. So if you play matchup zone, you play man, you play whatever you're playing. So you say, okay, this is what the read says. You're either going to high, low, middle linebacker say that's the read. So we're going to, the middle linebacker will go on the underneath man. Okay. Making the read the square in. So you as a safety or a corner or whatever else you're playing on the other side, you're coming off your man. You got a flat. You're the flat defender. You're coming off that player in the flat because he's going to make the right read. Brady's going to make the right read. Now you got to disguise it and don't break, before he makes the read, but that's the way you're going to get him. And that's the way you intercept good quarterbacks. You play that chess game, and it's happened to Baker a few times. So now you got to play a little bit more chess and say, okay, I know you're leaving that flat guy. I'm going to take that flat. I'm going to take that check down. And you've heard Baker say that. Sometimes I just got to take the check down because when that flat defender comes off the check down, that's a catch and run situation. That guy in the flat's going to catch the ball and his defender's 15 yards downfield trying to gambling to make that pick. So it's a constant chess game. And the bottom line is if you can make more plays than they're making and catch them in their gambles, you can do that. But
listen,
it's part of the game. It's part of the game. Every time you throw the ball, there's a chance for an interception.
Would I love to have, a quarterback like Josh Allen who can be as aggressive as anybody in the league and he could stick it in places that most people just can't. They just can't. Like, that's what makes Josh Allen the MVP player that he was. Would I love to have that? Of course I would. But there's only one Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes, how many interceptions has Patrick Mahomes thrown this year? Like 11, 12, 13, something like that.
He's up to 13, yeah.
Every quarterback goes through this.
And he and Baker were tied for the lead a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I
when they
mean,
played.
yeah, even Geno Smith, I know he had a bad night and he got hurt last night, but Geno has been throwing a lot this year. The Seattle was in first place entering last night. He's thrown a lot of picks this year. I mean, I already mentioned Stafford has a tendency to do it. Like all the great quarterbacks in this league typically do this, but they're so talented that they can make up for it later on in games.
Nathan Elliott says, arguing, I guess, against the fact that they would fire Bowles. Tony Dungy had from 96 to 2001 to coach the team and be successful. Bowles has had 3 years, 2 division titles, and heading into a third. If he has more time, the success will come. It takes time. Yeah, I get that. But you don't want to lose Liam Cohen. And that's part of it. Todd Bowles is working with bubblegum and duct tape on defense. The firing talk is crazy to me. I don't disagree with that, Paris. I do not disagree at all. It seems silly. It does seem silly. That said, you got to see progress, and you don't want to let Liam Cohen. Would Liam Cohen be a better head coach? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other part of it.
I don't know.
I mean, a lot of coordinators, once they get that head coaching job, I mean, things change. They change. I mean, Todd's defense has not, even Todd as a head coach, his defense has been worse overall since he became a DC.
Yeah. And there is this
head coach rather.
There is, we know what you mean. This coach in waiting, which I've never seen in the NFL. I've seen it in college.
Well,
but I've not really seen it in the NFL.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why did Todd Bowles become the Buccaneers head coach in the first place?
He was extortion by Tom Brady.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Your favorite saying, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yes. So what are you saying?
I'm just merely pointing out that maybe not, there was some funny business that went on. And
well, you could say that. So are you asking me if Todd Bowles would have gotten this job if there was a search, a legitimate search? No.
Yeah, because it happened in March.
Yeah.
There was no search that was going to happen in March. Yeah. And maybe if Bruce had called it quits after that year, if he'd coached another year, maybe Todd got the job anyway. Maybe he would have just gotten the job anyway. I don't know. I'm just merely pointing out to you that we might have evidence of something sort of happening where a coach was removed from the equation for another coach.
That's why I say, trust in the Glazers. I think they know what they're doing here. They know what they're doing. They've done this before. I just don't see any way they let Liam Cohen walk out the door because, as many of you have pointed out in this league, when you have a defensive head coach, if you hire the right guy in Dave Canales, somebody's going to hire him away. If you do hire the right guy in Liam Cohen, somebody's going to hire him away. So the only way to get off the offensive coordinator carousel and be changing coordinators every year is to hire somebody like a Sean McVay, like an Andy Reid, who runs the offense and calls the plays. That's the only way to really do it. And by the way, those two guys have been pretty successful.
Yeah,
in recent history.
Yeah, I mean, there's other examples of defense. Like McDermott, for example, has been the head coach since 2017, and they've had a lot of success. They've run through a crap ton of OCs, I think. In
Yes,
Buffalo.
they have.
Yes,
they have.
But again, when you
and
have
they have you have a transcendent quarterback.
I was going to say you have a transcendent quarterback that makes up for that. You can look at Baltimore as the same way. You have a transcendent quarterback that can make up for that.
Yeah, and they've had a few different OCs.
Right.
Jeff
Detroit has been very fortunate the fact that Ben Johnson has stayed now as long as he has.
Mm-hmm.
What will things look like in Detroit when Ben Johnson leaves? I don't know.
Right.
I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, look, I don't think we need to worry about it right now because, and it's a great, you guys are arguing amongst yourselves in the chat, which I love, by the way.
What we should be doing is, again, just taking pride in the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Thank you.
We're in December.
Thank you.
They're in first place.
This is why we can't have nice things.
We haven't said the infamous words, the 8 words, NFL draft.
That's right.
8 letters rather. We haven't said those words yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're like not even thinking about it. We're talking about playoffs here.
Yes.
And not the type of playoffs. The type of playoffs that Maura was talking about. We're talking about
playoffs. Not playoffs. It's playoffs.
Yeah. which,
and listen, the
which
Bucs
should be a fifth straight year. Remember, we went 13 years without getting it, so we should probably just be enjoying it.
And again, let the season play out. Let the season play out. And this, I don't think this will even be an argument. I don't. I think the season will display itself, and the outcome will be evident to the Glazers, and I think to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more information. This is the other part of this debate. Is we can sit here and have this debate right now. 4 weeks ago, I wanted Todd Bowles gone because I think eventually we're going to get to this spot where Liam Cohen is going to be. You're going to have to keep Liam Cohen at the expense of Todd Bowles. I was just getting ahead of the. I
was getting ahead of it too, because I thought all this talk about the Bucs going on another magical run like they did last year, I thought it was garbage.
Yeah.
I thought there was no way they were going to do this again like they did last year. And here we are 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, and they're doing it again.
Well, listen, the Falcons win tonight, and the Bucs lose to the Cowboys next week on the road on Sunday Night Football, where they're a 3.5-point favorite.
Things change again.
I mean, this is all extremely doable. This happens in this league.
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know. So let's just, when you're not in the playoffs yet, it's a complete overreaction Monday. And when you have a performance like this Buccaneers defense still has lots of issues, but yesterday they played really, really well. Mm-hmm. They played really, really well. But let's not listen. Justin Herbert's a good player. All right. But let's not say this Chargers offense is a juggernaut. It's not. Okay, it's just not.
No, they need to run the football. And like without J.K. Dobbins in the backfield, they cannot run the football at all.
Yeah, that offense. And did the Bucs play well defensively yesterday? Absolutely, they did. But this is a team that's run by its offense that will be determined. Their success will be determined on how their offense plays and how little they turn it over.
Yep.
So, all right, great discussion. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to play some Baker Mayfield for you a little bit later on, but we're going to get into the Rays, who dumped Jeffrey Springs and his $22 million salary this weekend. Shocking development. Shocking development. But we have 7 pitchers. Oh, do we? Do we? Well, we have 7 pitchers in March, April, May, June, July. No, we won't. So we'll talk about that. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's that time of year where you want to do your insurance checkup on all your different products. So let them shop it around. Just give them a call, 813-877-7799. Said, it's the end of the year. I want to do my shopping. So will you do all the shopping for me, personal shopper? And I'm going to save all the money. That's how they do it. And they'll put you with good companies that will pay out if you have a claim. Very important these days, as many of you are learning. Some of these companies don't like to do that. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Back in 3. Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Hey, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There's been a lot of talk about lab-grown diamonds. Oh, they're just like the real thing. No, they're not. They're not the real thing. They're lab-grown. They're fake. You want to give your honey a fake diamond? Not a good way to start off the relationship, folks. Take my word for it. Get the real thing, and no place better to shop than the Gold and Diamond Source. And remember, if you shop anywhere else, you don't know if it's real. You don't know what you're buying. The Gold and Diamond Source has been in business for over 40 years. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors in our community. You know it's real. It's the only place to shop. And if you're planning to purchase for the holidays, don't forget to take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. You can reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. As always, we offer up to 5 years interest-free financing for just $84 a month when you finance $5,000. It's the only place to shop for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
AP Peterson show here as we roll on this Victory Monday, brought to you by Third Generation Plumbing and AC. If you've got any issues there from hurricane damage in your home, they do that as well. Third Generation Plumbing, they've been around since 1995. John Rodriguez is the owner there. And if you have any issues, you let him know, you let me know, I'll let him know, he'll make it right. That's that way it works. So if you ever have any plumbing issues or AC issues, all you want is an honest tech to show up and do the work right and do it fast at a good price. And that's what they do at Third Generation Plumbing. So please go to their website, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. They do all kinds of stuff around the house. Let them be your handyman for all your things. And you can contact them through the website. Tell them JP sent you. All right, we got some breaking news here. Connor McLaughlin, offensive lineman, is coming to USF. He is through the transfer portal, I believe, former Jesuit player. Trying to get some more information about him. I think I remember Stanford. Yeah, he went to Stanford. So I was bitching last week about USF. I think they had 2 players in their high school recruiting class from the Tampa Bay area. It's not enough. Got to do better in your own backyard. So too much talent here, and you've got a home field advantage. So this is a good sign. If they could get a pipeline going from Jesuit to USF,
Be big time.
yeah, because they got a lot of D1 players coming through there. Speaking of that, Todd Bowles' son, Troy Bowles, who went to Georgia as a 4 or 5-star linebacker, is now visiting FSU today in the transfer portal. And boy, do they need linebackers. He could probably step right in and get lots and lots of playing time, which is probably why he is at Florida State with their new defensive coordinator, Tony White, who runs a 3-3-5 scheme. So you need 3 starting linebackers there. And, but there's a hybrid position there too, which I think he would be really, really good at. They're that hybrid safety. They call it a bear and some, what everybody has a different name for it, but that's
you basically need 2 starters because it looks like Omar came back.
Mhm.
He negotiated a deal essentially to come back. So I think they just got another guy from Nebraska committed over the weekend.
Yeah. Very productive. Yeah.
Very experienced. Don't really know much about him, to be honest with you, but they just need bodies essentially. So,
yeah. So in FSU, another development, Mike Norvell has pledged $4.5 million to go to the Seminole Boosters. They have a new initiative that supports all athletes, and he's starting it off with a $4.5 million donation. Now,
as part of a restructured contract, which I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else to the restructure part, or if that's just it. Because it said in the press release that FSU put out, it said has agreed to a restructured contract, which includes a $4.5 million donation, blah, blah, blah.
I think that's we're seeing it all over college football, and it's about time these heavily compensated coaches put their money where their mouth is, and some of that money can go to NIL, some of it can go back directly to the program. Whatever it is,
Yeah, like I mentioned,
that's a good thing.
Because I mentioned to you, this came out last week. Brian Kelly at LSU. LSU is starting a new initiative too, where they're encouraging fans to raise money for their collective for the football team. And Brian Kelly has said that he will match up to $1 million in donations to that. So you're seeing teams are going to get more creative as this goes on to find a way to get more funds into the building because, I mean, you need players to win championships. I think everybody pretty much knows that. And these coaches' salaries, it's like I wonder at some point if programs are going to say, "Hey, you know what? We probably shouldn't be paying coaches $10 to $12 million."
Yes, I agree with that. I think they should, in the newly restructured JP college football plan, have my head coaches get capped at $5 million.
I mean, that's
Inflation.
what Oklahoma State did with Gundy.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally were at a standstill for a whole day. And it's like, hey, Mike, if you want to come back, give us your money, please, so we can go get some more players to improve this team that did not win a single game in the conference.
Yeah.
And Mike Gundy, of course, had to fight that. And I understand from his perspective, he's going to. But
why?
I mean,
these guys have so much money. They can never spend it all. And this they're trying to buy a football team or something. They can't spend it in their lifetime. They have no expenses whatsoever. Usually their home is paid for. Their car is paid for. Their meals are paid for. Everything is paid for by the booster organizations.
And that's why, like, Bill Belichick contract, to me, I just shake my head. 5 years, $50 million, I think
it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Why does Bill Belichick need that contract?
He doesn't. And I guess it's the going rate and the agents work all these things out. But
you haven't even seen that guy coach in college football, and you're making him a top 5 paid head coach in college football.
I have no idea what North Carolina's thinking. This is the worst coaching move I think I've ever seen in terms of what they're dumping into the program to his salary. The whole idea that it's a coach in waiting situation with his son.
Yeah, you're signing up for his son to be the head coach.
Yeah.
Like Bill's going to be here for what? I don't know.
Who's been a somewhat successful defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But you're not seen him as a head coach.
But it's so uncertain because you're bringing in Bill. And mind you, I think a lot of the talk about Bill, people are almost so negatively against it that somehow I convince myself it's somehow going to work out. Okay. But it's Michael Lombardi coming with him. If Josh McDaniels is the OC and Matt Patricia's the DC and we're just putting together
the band
again, like, I don't know how I feel about that necessarily.
Well, look, to me, the way to win in college football, the template is a younger, charismatic coach or an older, charismatic coach.
Yeah. And I thought North Carolina wanted to get younger after Mac Brown, and they got a year younger.
Yeah. Is the word charisma ever come in the same sentence as Bill Belichick? No. He's going to hire people to recruit. That's not the way college football works. The head coach is the guy. He's the guy. Everything stems from him. The coach, he does the recruiting. He talks to the players. You play for him. He puts together a staff. He creates a culture, all those things.
Well, money's going to play a role in this. I mean,
sure.
You're basically buying players. And North Carolina, if you're bringing in Bill Belichick, I'm sure there's assurance in there that they're going to spend as much money as possible, that they are more than they ever have on football to try to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. As James says, he'll coach for 1 year and then give the job to his son. Yeah. And if you're a son and you're counting on your dad to get you a job, that's bad.
Welcome to coaching.
That's bad. I would never want to get a job because my daddy got it for me.
Hey,
even if it's a really high paying job.
Right.
I mean, do it. He was a defensive coordinator at Washington, right?
Yeah.
Like, get it on your own.
Felt like, he left the NFL and went to college. It almost felt like he was getting away from that.
Christopher Cole says NIL is getting out of control. I think you're 2 years late on that, Chris. It's been out of control.
But I'll tell you this, though, for somebody who, does a lot of work with UCF and everything and covers that team, Bill Belichick's coming to the bounce house on September 20th next year. Can you imagine? I said it like whenever Belichick got announced, I was like, can you imagine a week prior saying Scott Frost versus Bill Belichick on September 20th?
Well, I retweeted something last week that had about 10 or 15 things that have happened in college football that you never would have predicted before the season.
This is the wackiest year I've ever seen.
Yeah. Michael LaRue says the Rays needed to trade a starting pitcher, and I actually like the return.
Great segue, Michael LaRue, because that's what we were going to talk about.
Really? You like the return? A guy that can throw 99 and walks as many walks as he does innings pitched most everywhere he's been. Yeah, he strikes out guys, but it's the major leagues, and that's you're going to get squeezed even more. I think the return is not good. You get a 15th round pick that had 18 home runs last year in high A ball. Is a strong first base home run bat. You got Xavier Isaac, who's going to be your first baseman of the future, hopefully. So I don't see where this return. It's a salary dump. You're dumping Jeffrey Springs $10.5 million salary this year, $22 million he's owed over the next 2 years. It's a salary dump, and I know you said we have 7 starting pitchers. Yeah, and all of them have histories of at least one Tommy John. Drew Rasmussen's had 3. McClanahan's coming off his first. It's going to be limited to 150 innings. Shane Baz is coming off elbow surgery. They've all been injured. So yes, I know you have 7 now, but why not hold on to these guys and trade them right before the season if you still have 7 healthy guys right before the season? My guess is you won't. You could have 6 starting pitchers and have a rotation in that way, and keep guys in which you're going to need with Shane McClanahan. You can keep some of the innings down. Yeah. I don't see how trading Jeffrey Springs here was a must do. And why is it him? Because of the money he makes.
That's the thing. That's my thing with this. It's like, I don't have a problem the idea of trading Jeffrey Springs or trading a starting pitcher if you were trying to add to your offense. The piece that you added to your offense is a guy that's in the minors right now.
That's right.
And he put up a lot of big numbers in the minors. Okay, I stall it. But that doesn't always translate to the big leagues. We know that. Jeffrey Springs was making the most money on this team right now. And so when you see it and you know how the Rays have operated over the years, we just saw what they did with Tyler Glasnow last year. It seems like the Rays, more recently have been more willing to give out contracts, long-term contracts to guys
that they never seem to pay out, by the way.
Exactly. They never even get to the point where they end up paying it out. They just end up flipping them for prospects, to be honest with you. But, I mean, the rotation on paper, McClanahan, Taj Bradley, Shane Baz, Ryan Pepio, Zach Littell, and I know I'm missing somebody that's also really important in that equation right now, off the top of my head. I just named 5.
Springs was 6.
Pepio,
did you say Pepio?
I said Pepio.
No. Yeah. I forget who you.
Rasmussen. I don't even know if he's even going to be a starter anymore.
Right.
Rasmussen might be a guy that you put in the late bullpen.
But look at the numbers here. Jeffrey Springs in 2022 is full season 9-5, a 2.46 ERA, a 1.07 WHIP, and then in 2023 got hurt. He was 2-0. with a 0.56, and then came back at 24, pitched 7 games, was 2-2 with a 3.27. When he's healthy, he's a dominant pitcher.
One of the best left-handers in the league.
One of the best left-handers in the league.
Hard to find, which you do have one of them, but he's coming back from injury.
And why did we not get a major league hitting prospect back?
That's my problem.
And why?
It costs money.
Because they cost money. You have to pay their salaries. You can't tell me Eric Neander couldn't go out and find a major league position player for Jeffrey Springs, a healthy Jeffrey Springs. You're telling me you can't find an outfielder, you can't find anybody that can hit the baseball that you can trade for? Come on, dog.
Here's the thing. It's like,
and now you're overall, you know where your payroll's at? $60 million. $60 million. Pathetic.
And I think I almost feel like they're done.
Oh, they're done.
And so,
they're definitely done. They already told Mark Topkin they're done, and he wrote the piece.
There was this article over the weekend on MLB.com from Adam Berry titled, "Are the Rays done upgrading their lineup?"
Oh, they got one.
And he went position by position looking at the Rays options.
Oh.
Okay, so obviously we know Danny Jansen comes in. He's going to play catcher along with Ben Rortvedt.
Tremendous pickup.
I feel good about that.
Yep.
Yandy Diaz for now is going to be your first baseman again, assuming they don't trade him.
Yay.
Second baseman is going to be Brandon Lau.
I'm a corner infielder, Yandy?
Huh?
Corner infielder with power, right? Because that's what corner infielders have, power.
Not really.
How many home runs he hit last night?
Not many.
How many RBIs?
Yeah. Here's the position.
Got to keep him.
Here's the positions that I'm concerned about the Rays right now. Let's start with shortstop. And this sentence alone scares me. Adam Berry wrote. The Rays still believe Taylor Walls is capable of more than his 188, 288, 293 slash line in the majors. We've been watching Taylor Walls on this team for the last 4 years. Outside of one magical spurts. Taylor Walls, remember him?
I still believe one day I'm going to shoot 69.
Yeah, I believe one day I'll shoot 80. But
chances of it happening
pretty low.
Pretty
low.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Taylor Walls can't have a place on the 26 man because he's maybe the best defensive shortstop in the league, but he offers you nothing at the plate. Like absolutely nothing. You have
less than nothing.
You have Caballero, and Caballero, he led the AL in stolen bases, but we know he's not exactly a great hitter. And right now, it seems like the way the plan is they're going to put Christopher Morel in left field. And I have so many major concerns with Morel right now as a player in general because I don't think he's not a great defender really anywhere you put him.
He's a walking strikeout.
And last year, I think what do you have?
Running
He had
strikeout.
2 or 3 home runs.
Yeah.
With the Rays, and that's his number one attribute.
Yeah.
He had 2 or 3 home runs since he came over to the Rays and couldn't stop striking out. I like to think there's more there with him because he was definitely more successful in Chicago, but the Rays are going to have to find that. And then Johnny DeLuca being your everyday center fielder, does that do a lot for you based on what you saw with DeLuca last year?
It's the same
really.
Offense that was second worst in the league to the historically shitty Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah. I'll tell you what the Rays are banking on. And this might happen.
Making money.
Well, this might happen, though. Junior Caminero, they are banking on him becoming a superstar. And that might happen. Okay? I'm not saying that can't happen.
Not with zero protection in the lineup. And I guess Brandon Lau might be able to provide some of that.
Yeah, and Josh Lowe.
But even you can't.
Josh Lowe, if he doesn't have an injury before the season that sort of like makes it tough for him the rest of the year. Josh Lowe, we've seen at his best. Josh Lowe is a really, really good player that can do a lot of things well.
All-star caliber.
All-star caliber, I would probably say. So, like, they're banking on that. And also, it just kind of reaffirms what I'm thinking is that the Rays are almost looking at 2026 as their year to open this window back up because they have a lot of top prospects at some really important positions.
Yep.
And they're not necessarily going to be ready for 2025. I just said shortstop. I don't love your plan for this year. But we all know eventually that's going to be Carson Williams' role.
Right.
Okay. And he's a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. Xavier Isaac is probably one more year away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be your first baseman, and he brings a lot of pop. This dude, Chandler Simpson, that plays outfield, he's a top like 30 prospect in all of baseball. The guy that steals bases at a crazy rate and gets on base. Like that dude's probably going to be a year away. He actually might be in the mix at some point this year. So like, I'm not saying you don't have options that you can go to for the future, but in terms of 2025, I'm struggling to find where the Rays are going to find ways to try to compete, especially when you look at your own division right now. And every team in the division has made a big move. The Yankees lost Juan Soto, yes. The Yankees also added Max Fried. They're in on seemingly every other player they're going to continue to add. The Red Sox went out and got Garrett Crochet. The Orioles went out. I know they're going to lose Santander. They brought in Tyler O'Neill, who has 30 home run potential. They brought him in to replace him. And then even the Blue Jays, they've tried to be in on everybody. They made a trade to get Andres Jimenez from the Cleveland Guardians. Pretty good second baseman, all-around player. Like, the teams in your divisions have made splash moves. The Rays have added Danny Jansen, and I don't.
Yay!
And as much as he fills a need, it doesn't really move the needle that much.
No, he can hit double-digit home runs, 11. Okay, and he can handle the pitching staff. I wasn't worried about the pitching. It's a good pickup. You finally got a professional catcher. Great job. It doesn't move the needle of your offense whatsoever. You have what could be a historical pitching staff. You don't sell them all off. And all you need to do is go add a few hitters.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to do, except when you're absolutely handcuffed as a general manager, so much so when you're on the dais at MLB Network and they're interviewing you and they say, "Oh, you just missed out on Max Fried," and everybody chuckles, "Oh," because they all know that the Rays are never in on anybody for real. Anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so depressing as a Rays fan to constantly, just look at your team, salary dumping. And then even when you have a guy like Jeffrey Springs, okay, you're going to trade a starting pitcher. How can you not get a major league hitter for a guy that's one of the best lefties in the league when he's healthy. I'm not talking about getting a top 5 guy. I'm not talking about getting a superstar. I'm talking about getting somebody who can hit 280, hit maybe 25 home runs, 20 home runs, knock in 75 or 80. Just give me somebody that can hit.
The Royals made a similar move. They traded Brady Singer about 2 weeks ago to the Cincinnati Reds. You know who they got back? They got back Jonathan India, who's a proven major league bat. Now, he's not a great player. I'd probably say he's a good player, but he's a major league bat.
He's head over heels any of the crap that we're throwing out there offensively.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go out and get, and well, we're going to have to give up some money. It ain't your money. It's not your money.
Yeah. When I hear that's the thing. When I hear fans say like, oh, we saved money. Why do you care?
It's not your money.
Why do you care? About
and you're not saving money. You're putting money in his pocket because of all the revenue sharing and everything else that goes on. Why do you think even the A's went out and signed Severino? The A's are spending money because they make so much money in baseball. Oh, but we need it for the new stadium. Really? Because he doesn't want to pay for that either. We have cost overruns. We can't afford that. But you agreed to it. And by the way, interesting in the weekend that passed, a couple articles, and actually one in the Times, that made the case that the Rays can't move anywhere else because of the expense and the fact that expansion is coming to these other cities, and MLB does not want to burn these cities by allowing the Rays to move there. Duh. We've been saying this forever. But they want to always create the narrative that the Rays could move at any time. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And we'll find out tomorrow if they approve the bonds. But even if they approve the bonds, the county, the Rays still have to show up. And this is all the county has asked for. Come and show us that you've spent the money that you said you spent on getting this stadium done. This wonderfully designed stadium, the Walmart that you designed. I went back and looked at that e-board design with that roof, the translucent roof and the brick and all that stuff. That had some imagination to it. This one, snoozer. It's a pavilion style. It's ugly.
I like them both.
They're ugly.
I like them both.
These is one of them. Listen, yeah, because I don't know how much they've put into this, if at all, any. We've seen some renderings. They're just renderings, but have we really dug into what this thing's going to look like? No, because I don't think the Rays ever even planned on building it. And we'll see what happens this week. They'll put the ball back in the Rays court. But then where's the quote $250 million? What do they call it now? A funding gap? It's not a funding back. It's a cost overrun that you were supposed to pay. It's not a funding gap. And the city said they're not spending another dime, nor should they. They're spending, it's the biggest public subsidy in the history of stadiums by the smallest city, by the way, in terms of population. We'll see where this goes. But again, over the weekend, more confirmation that there is a group in Tampa that the Major League Baseball commissioner is very much aware of and has had conversations with. And we also heard from Chair Peters when she spoke with Manfred, and I've had this confirmed from other sources, that Commissioner Manfred is not happy with the games that Stu is playing. In fact, he's pissed off. And he had these meetings last week to assure these players that, listen, if you don't, I don't know if this was said specifically, but the fact that the mayor came out and said, the Major League Baseball and Tampa and the Rays are committed to staying in Tampa Bay. He didn't say St. Pete specifically. He said the local community, keeping the Rays in the local community. Did not say Pinellas or St. Pete like he's used to say all the time. So maybe part of what the commissioner was talking about to St. Petersburg is said, hey, listen, if you don't pass this, don't worry. The Rays aren't going anywhere. They'll stay in the local community. And same to the Pinellas commissioners. They're not going anywhere. And if there is a chance that they might be heading out, there might be a different approach. And I don't think they're going anywhere. Major League Baseball has said they're not going anywhere. And there is a deal to be done in Tampa. A feasible, more public-friendly deal in terms of taxation dollars. As Ken Hagan has told us many times, they'll protect the taxpayers and pay as you go. And there's more SITS money available. And the other revelation that was in this, we talked about this, by the way. This is not, I know they said this was the first time that this has been reported. We talked about this when Eric Hart of the TSA came on our show and Ken Hagan over the summer, that there was a presentation to the Rays while they were basically telling everybody that they're here to stay in St. Petersburg. They were still talking to Tampa about this deal, about the waterfront deal downtown. And what became, I thought, was the revelation in the whole story was that in that presentation to the Rays, the number of annual contribution for the public number was $29 million plus annually. That's over $900 million over the life of the stadium available to the Rays or whoever buys this team and wants to build in Tampa. $900 million commitment. So everybody who says there's no money in Tampa, there's no money in Hillsborough County, which has always been a false narrative. There's not a blank check as there was in St. Pete, but there's money to get a deal done. And the reason it was never done is because of Stu Sternberg, the same reason it never got done in St. Petersburg. So that's $900 million available in Hillsborough County. It was in the presentation. It's in the story. Go read it. As we have told you, there's plenty of money there. There is a will and a way to get it done in Tampa, but you need a willing owner who will pay some of the freight and a developer as a third partner, which you have in Darryl Shaw, or at least had in this particular one. And now we'll have in Ybor as well, because that site is still available. So very much in flux. Tampa still very much in the running. And we're going to watch how Tampa supports, and I hate to even say Tampa, but everybody else wants to say it. It's Tampa Bay. It's not going to be Hillsborough people buying these tickets, by the way, but it will come from a bigger section of people, obviously, because it's more centrally located, and there's a way forward. So I'm very much optimistic that this is going to get done. I still don't think it's going to get done in St. Pete, but knowing that there is a group that wants to step forward in Tampa, are they capitalized enough? I'm not sure about that. I know a lot of people in this group have a lot of money, and Major League Baseball is aware of them and talking to them. And Rob Manfred is not happy with Stu Sternberg and the way the Rays have handled this. And I told you that weeks ago. So now it's in print. Everybody knows it. I guess we can all accept that now and move forward. And I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll have a resolution in the few months to come. But I wouldn't hold your breath.
I was going to say, and I know this was more on the field that I was going to say about the Rays. This is my last point about them, really. I already know what you're going to say to this.
Okay.
But I'm going to mention it anyway. And this, you want to know how you make the Jeffrey Springs deal kind of, you soften the blow of that for me personally?
How? You trade Boyle for a hitter?
No. What if the Rays truly had a shot to land Roki Sasaki?
So they're going to outbid everybody in Major League Baseball.
It depends on how you believe the reports that are out there.
Oh my God. Here we go with the reports again.
I know. That's why I knew.
Is this the one that we're in on Judge, or the one we're in on Freeman, or the one we're in on Soto?
I knew you were going to say that.
What was the other one was planted in the Wall Street Journal last week? I forget which one that was. Anyway, continue.
I'm just saying, according to the reports, and this is from MLB, like very credible MLB insider. So
yes.
I'm bringing it up for that. And they say small and mid-market teams are certainly in the mix and perhaps even preferred by Sasaki. And he doesn't sound like the kind of guy. He's looking for more of a soft landing, it says, at a smaller mid-market team that would be more beneficial for him, somewhere that he has a chance to truly develop and stuff like that. And like, when you hear that, it almost screams like Rays.
I'll give you that.
So
yeah.
I'm just merely pointing it out only because the Rays have been obviously reported to be one of his suitors. I think everybody assumes that he'll probably go to the Dodgers, and this will be a moot point regardless. But I'm just saying, if there was a scenario out there where the Rays could land Roki Sasaki, I don't know what a deal would look like for him. He's clearly one of the best pitchers on the entire planet. He's only 22 years old.
What would the financials look like?
That's the part we really don't know right now.
Right.
I haven't heard any reports of like what kind of contract we're sort of looking at here for him. I'm just pointing out that the Rays have been reported to be one of his suitors. He seems to be pretty game to want to join a smaller mid-market team. And if you're the Rays, why not? Why not? I mean, we're looking at one of the greatest Japanese pitching prospects of all time here.
Because of money.
Yeah, I know that's always the major hang up, but
they have to. So the fee, what do they call that? The international
posting fee
or whatever. I mean, isn't that in the $70 to $80 million range?
I don't know necessarily.
I mean, whatever the numbers are, I don't see the Rays ever outbidding anybody for anything.
He would have to,
except maybe a wild card banner.
I think he would have to choose to come. It would have to be
right.
It would obviously. I mean,
so he would take a lower deal to come here.
Says per the rules of the posting system, the MLB club that signs Sasaki will have to pay a release fee for major league contracts with a total guarantee value of $25 million or less. The release fee is 20% of the total guaranteed value of the contract.
So $25 million for the release fee, and then the contract that's 20% of the contract. So that means the contract's $125 million, $100 million. Yeah. on what planet is Stu spending that?
Moving on.
Mike H says there should be a salary floor and ceiling for MLB. Oh, totally agree. That's what Smolty said last week when we had him on. Madden says, I think it's doubtful the Rays show up tomorrow at the county commission meeting. I mean, think of that, by the way. They're just, all the commission has said is like, can you please come forward and prove to us that you've done your due diligence? You're asking us to make this commitment of $300 million bonds. Can you just at least show up and say and show us that you've done what you've said you've done, what you're contractually obligated to do? Can you just show up and do that? And if the Rays don't show up, well then, what do we do? What more do people need to see?
I mean, wasn't there stuff in there though that some of these people were saying they didn't want the Rays to show up?
Why? Who doesn't want them to show up?
I could have swore I saw that in one of the articles. Like one of the commissioners maybe said that they asked them not to show up at the last meeting.
No, they're begging them to show up. The county commission. It's what they've asked for. That's why the bonds were delayed. Because Commissioner Scott asked Brian Auld to come forward and reaffirm to the county their commitment locally, not only, and explain why they're playing in Tampa. It's a very reasonable request for a county that's about to spend $312 million in bonds, if not more, if they elect to go through the interest, which would put it closer to $700 million for 30 years. And we just want to make sure you're committed to the deal. And they just rebuffed the county commission. And in fact, Brian Auld told Commissioner Scott, I'm doing everything I can to keep this deal together because our cost projections and our revenue projections are all going the wrong way. Of course, the Rays said, that's not what he said. They said, Commissioner Scott, you're a liar. You can decide who you want to believe in this situation. So not only that, they're calling the commissioner a liar. Oh, that's not representative of what the conversation was. It's a nice way of calling him a liar because they know he should never have said that on the phone call. He thought it wouldn't come out. But when they started pointing fingers at the county commission, Commissioner Scott rightfully said, well, listen what he told me. And of course, I believe him 100%. Sounds exactly what Brian Auld would say in this situation. So, again, the Rays are not interested in getting this stadium done. They're not, in my opinion, they've never been interested in it. It's always been about the real estate deal. And they always are still trying to find a better deal somewhere else, namely in Tampa. And now that Major League Baseball has basically called his bluff and said, all right, enough of the nonsense, Stu. We got a group in Tampa that's interested in buying the team and wants to build in Tampa. And I think Major League Baseball vastly prefers that. They've said that out loud a billion times. So have the Rays. So we'll see where it goes. Any other comments on that we need to put up here? Oh, by the way, yes, Jason Romano came on the show last week, Kyle Tucker's agent from Plant High School, and said, he was likely going to be traded to a bigger market team, and voila, they're off to Chicago, which I think is going to be a great place for Kyle Tucker to play.
God bless the Cubs, because the Yankees really wanted him, and we keep that guy out of the division.
Yes, thank you, Cubs.
Thank you, Cubs, for that.
They stepped up and gave up the prospects, which one of
they're going to have to
Isaac Paredes.
They're going to have to sign him now.
Yeah,
and for whatever, it's crazy. There's
$18 million this year. He's due probably in arbitration.
What's kind of crazy, even though the Cubs are, they're the Cubs, they're Chicago, and they're a big market team. It sounds like the Ricketts family there. A lot of fans have issues with them, and they're pretty cheap.
They're cheap too.
They're pretty cheap. So the fact that you gave up, a top prospect, and obviously Isaac Paredes, you had better hope that you can re-sign Kyle Tucker.
Yeah,
better hope that you can
for a 1-year rental. That's a lot to give up.
But I will say for Isaac Paredes, obviously former Ray All-Star last year, I think it's a great I think it's a great spot for him. I think Chicago was a horrible spot for Isaac Paredes because he's a low contact rate guy, dead pull hitter. Chicago, Wrigley just didn't seem like it made a lot of sense, and he did not have a good stint there. Now he goes to Houston. You're playing inside a dome for the most part the entire year.
That short pavilion
and
there.
A short pavilion in left field.
Mm-hmm.
I think Isaac Paredes is going to return right back to all-star form in Houston. So it's a good spot for him.
Yeah, and great for Kyle. He's, he goes to Chicago, which is right where my son lives. So we always go up for a couple Cubs games. So now we'll go up and watch Kyle Tucker play.
And now we wait to see what happens with the problem is Cody Bellinger will most likely be a Yankee when this is all said and done. But you know what? You can't control what the Yankees are going to do. At the end of the day, Juan Soto's out of the division. So that's cool too.
Yeah, but somebody's coming back this way that will make the Yankees very, very dangerous. And the Rays continue to have.
What does it matter, man? The team out west is going to win the World Series again. So
I know baseball is just like
baseball has just made me very sad.
Yep. Rick says Manfred will tell Stu I made the highest paid Japanese players gambling scandal disappear and won them a World Series. I can make you gone as well. Oh, yes. And everybody says, well, Manfred works for the owners, so Stu will tell him what to do. He works for all the owners, not just Stu. And all the owners would rather Tampa Bay have a team that actually spends their revenue sharing money that they're giving every year.
Rod Manfred, I'm sure, is not a fan of the owners out there that refuse to spend money on their baseball teams. Rob Manfred probably
gives him a headache he doesn't need.
Rob Manfred probably very much so enjoys the Steve Cohens of the world.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
That's great for baseball. Rob Manfred, when he sees a guy get an $800 million deal, Rob Manfred loves that.
Yeah.
As much as we scoff at it, I'm sure Rob Manfred loves that and the attention it gets too.
Well, they have an issue though with a non-level playing field, and they need to do something about that. It's just getting these high dollar teams to buy in is ridiculous because that gives away the huge advantage that they have and that they've paid for over the years. So, all right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back on the other side. I want to get to the Heisman Trophy over the weekend. What an interesting story that turned out to be. Some other contracts handed out to some former Rays as well. Good for them. And we'll tie up this Buccaneers big victory as well. Stay with us. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy, Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa-based top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Victory Monday here as the Bucs rip the Chargers. 40 points they laid on them. 40 freaking points on the best defense in the NFL statistically. And the Bucs move to 8-6, still in first place. The Falcons will play tonight at the Raiders. We got 2 games tonight, right? We got that one, and then we got what's the other one? Minnesota,
and where was it at? Chicago.
Oh, that's right.
Not the greatest.
But I have not watched the entire Minnesota game all year. I want to see what these Vikings are all about tonight, because at this point, statistically, they're probably the best team in the NFC. Given that the Lions are so depleted now, they just lost 3 more starters on defense.
Certainly the most complete team right now.
I think they are, and they have a nice home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings have not reached the Super Bowl since they went inside.
I feel like they've been inside my entire life.
No. For your entire life, yes, they have been. But not mine.
Outside of the years where they had to play at Minnesota's stadium.
Right. That's true. Yeah, the old Fran Tarkenton days and the Purple People Eaters, they made it to the Super Bowl 4 times, I think. Or at least the NFC Championship.
Never won it, though.
Never won it. They lost to the Dolphins at Rice Stadium in Houston in 1973.
Kind of crazy. They've had so many great players over
Yeah.
their franchise history and never. But that's the same thing. None of the Minnesota teams have ever won a championship. Timberwolves have never won. The Twins have never won. The Vikings have never won.
The Twins have. Jack Morris.
Had to have been a long. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Jack
Kirby
Morris.
Puckett days.
Yeah, the Kirby Puckett. Yeah.
So the Twins have.
Where they used to play in a Metrodome and they'd have the wind blowing in with the air conditioner when the other team was.
The North Stars / Wild have never won it.
No.
That's a snake-bitten town right there.
Really? I never thought about that. Yeah, the Twins, I think, won in 68 too.
Maybe. They definitely won one of those in the 90s.
The Harmon Killebrew Twins, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, but
no, maybe not. I think it may have gotten to the World Series, but no, the Vikings have never won, and I don't even think they've made it back to the Super Bowl. Anyway, so we'll see them play tonight. That'll be interesting. The Eagles, by the way, continue to win, but yesterday Sirianni, trying to go over and talk to one of his defensive linemen, is intercepted by the defensive line coach, who basically says,
"Yeah, it was Jalen Carter."
Jalen Carter, right? And it's like, don't go over there. Like he don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, this happened earlier
Can
this
you
year.
imagine that happening on the Tampa Bay sideline?
No.
Can you imagine?
The Bucs don't have any of these issues.
And AJ Brown gets over 100 yards yesterday, so the Eagles, so they start to throw the ball.
AJ Brown literally yesterday told the media it was good to I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying it was good to go out there and we could shut everybody up. You are the one who started this, AJ, and your teammate Brandon Graham is the one who finished, who added more to it on a radio show. And now you want everybody can shut up now. You started it. Drives me nuts when players do these things.
But are they good enough to just say, we want to pass this week, and then we go out and do it? Because, I mean...
Oh, they're really good.
Yeah. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, which, by the way, did not play when the Bucs played them.
Yeah, like I said, the Vikings are the most complete team in the NFC. The reason why I didn't say Philly is because entering yesterday, only one team was worse at passing the football in the entire NFL, and that was the New England Patriots. And obviously, Jalen Hurts played maybe his best game of the year yesterday against the Steelers. By the way, with a broken index finger, I think, on his left hand, for what that's worth. So, but they haven't proven that they can be an efficient passing offense this year. So that's why I said the Eagles, I don't think they're the most complete.
And they
team.
went out and did it against Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
pretty good defense.
But we obviously know the Eagles can run the football better than anybody. They have a great O-line, and defensively, they're as good as it gets in the league. So they've won 10 games in a row.
It's almost impossible in this league.
Why are we? I don't understand why we have so many issues in that locker room.
I don't get it. There's still something with Sirianni. Like something is not right with him and his team.
I don't think he's a leader of men at all. At all.
But you can't fire the guy who's winning. Like the roster is so good, they're winning in spite of their head coach.
It's always felt that way.
Yeah.
Because they just have so many great players. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of dysfunction, Devondre Campbell suspended 3 games by the 49ers, who desperately need linebackers. Talk about just from the very, we talked about Camp Kumbaya with the Buccaneers, and joked about it. Everything was just so honky-dory. But we looked around the league and we're like, look at, just hold out. Sayuk's hold out in San Francisco. And
McCaffrey injured right away.
Yeah. And the offensive tackle wasn't in camp. I mean, it was just, and then it's led to this. And it's an underwhelming season of 6-8 for the 49ers.
Yeah.
They're still mathematically alive, but they're not going anywhere.
No, they're not. They're not. Now that whole conversation's about, well, what do you pay Brock Purdy now? Because he's just not playing great this year. Brock Purdy.
Their window's closed.
Oh, it's shut.
I think
it's shut.
Yeah. And the Bucs window is opening.
Yeah.
Is opening. But who's going to be the head coach next year? Refer to the second half of the first hour for that argument, which we, Anyway, congratulations to Travis Hunter. It's one of my great regrets in life that lifelong Florida State fan did not ever wear a Florida State uniform.
Well, he wore a hat for about 2 seconds.
Screw you, Deion Sanders. Just for that alone. I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you, for a lot of things, but that is what a shame. The kid grew up. I mean, was destined for FSU, the number 1 overall recruit. I think, do they win the national championship last year with Travis Hunter?
Maybe.
Yes. Yes, they do.
That's the thing. If you're a Florida State fan, you probably cringe every time you see Travis Hunter make a play because he could have been doing that in Garden.
And what a great young man. What a great young man. The more I hear him talk and do interviews and watch him play, what a great young man. And I credit Deion for developing him as a player and fulfilling all the promises that you made to that young man. He made money. He went with you to Jackson State, of all places.
Yeah.
And you ended up at Colorado. He got to play in big games. National television, made tons of NIL money, and won the Heisman freaking trophy. Is going to be a top draft pick. So congratulations to you, Deion Sanders, for making that happen. Congratulations to you, Travis Hunter, for being who you are. Great, absolute, in every way, on and off the field, just
and I
top
almost
notch.
hate how volatile this whole Heisman discussion was, especially on social media. I'm sure you saw it. I mean, people, and I saw somebody here in the chat said it, Travis Media Darling Hunter.
Oh, come on.
I'll just tell you this. I think we anybody who watches the games, to me, it's like, if you can't watch Travis Hunter play football and acknowledge how great he is, then I don't know what you're looking at. I saw Travis Hunter play against UCF inside the bounce house in October. And my takeaway was, this is the greatest college football player I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah.
Like, it totally lived up to the hype. It was different. Different is the word. And when somebody calls you different, that to me is like, that's as big a compliment as you can get, that you can hand out when you say somebody's different. Travis Hunter was different. You know who else was different this year? Ashton Genty. And the fact of the matter is, in most years, Ashton Genty would be the runaway Heisman winner.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame it didn't happen, but he had tough competition. The Heisman, we have to understand, the Heisman Trophy is not a most valuable player award trophy. If we were talking most valuable player in the country, there's no debate. It's Ashton Genty, because Ashton Genty couldn't afford to have an off day for Boise State to make the college football playoff. He could not afford to. You don't think he's the most valuable player in college football?
No, I think Travis Hunter was. You get the best receiver on the field and the best defensive back on the
valuable
field
to your team's success. Boise State is literally the 3 seed in the college football playoff.
The Heisman Trophy goes to the most outstanding player in college football.
That's what I'm saying.
Travis,
Travis
Hunter is the most outstanding.
I agree with you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Most people will use the argument that Genty was the most valuable player, but that's not the award, is what I'm saying. So we shouldn't tear down Travis Hunter to prop up Ashton Genty and vice versa, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because these were just two incredible players.
Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah.
And, but Ashton Genty gets to do something that Travis Hunter will not do.
Play in
the first college football playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations to both of them. All right. I think that pretty much does it all. I think we got to. I wanted to comment real quickly. There was an article about this Storyland Studios in Trinity. Have you seen this? It's going to be an 800-acre, bigger than downtown Disney or whatever they call it now. And it's going to be professional stadiums. Like, they have renderings of an indoor arena, a large outdoor soccer field. I don't know who any of the teams that are playing in this, but it's going to be in Trinity. And if the Trinity residents allow it, they're not really too happy about it. But it's supposed to be this humongous sports and entertainment complex with no major league team playing there. And no, the Rays aren't playing in Trinity. No, sorry, not happening. They could spring train there. They could put a spring training there. That'd be great. I think that'd be a nice spot for that. But no. So another interesting. We know this. In case you're wondering, the development is not stopping in Florida, and it's going to be a huge part to wherever the Rays end up, which I don't think is going to be in St. Pete. It'll be a big part of if it's somewhere in Tampa, it'll be a huge part of that as well. So I think I'll say it again. The Rays aren't going anywhere, and hopefully we'll have a resolution soon.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but hopefully soon. But I know this. They're going to play in Tampa this year, and it's going to be wildly successful. Mm-hmm. Wildly successful.
Yeah.
If they can put an offense on the field that's even resembles a major league offense.
Give me the 16th ranked offense in baseball.
That's it. That's all you need.
Over the moon.
They're in the playoffs. With this pitching staff, they don't sell off all of them.
Yeah.
They'll be in the postseason, no question.
The last Tampa team we haven't mentioned today was Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, that's right.
Who were just on their long road trip, which I'm not. Is this over?
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah, 3-1 on the road trip. Won 5-1 at Seattle the other day. Brandon Hagel with a couple of goals, and I'll tell you what. Ever since the Four Nations was announced with Hagel and Cirelli, those guys have gone bonkers, and they've really shown themselves to be two of the better players overall. And the metrics that the Lightning were putting up, you were giving me some of these numbers before the show.
Yeah,
they're really impressive.
Yeah, the Lightning's goal differential is +30 right now. The only two teams that have a higher goal differential than them are the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals.
And that's with empty netters, which
this is all complete.
Yeah.
And for context, Winnipeg's the number 1 team right now in the league standings, and number 2 is Washington. So you're only behind the top 2 teams in the league at the moment. I know the Lightning technically, like it says, they're 16th in the league overall standings, but the Lightning have played the least amount of games of any team in the league, so that'll work itself out. But, I mean, I even brought up the stat to you in terms of finishing, which is basically just the rate of how many goals you're scoring off the shots that you're getting. The Lightning are finishing right now at a 25% clip. The next closest team is at 17%. Like, they have just been godly mode right now finishing. Now, some of that suggests they probably have some puck luck, and that's going to sort itself out a little bit. You're not going to keep up that rate the entire year. And that goes to Braden Point. Braden Point's finishing percentage is 36%.
Yeah.
36%, by the way, just to put that into context real quick, that would be the highest full season mark in the post 2007 era, which was previously 27%. That is how otherworldly Braden Point has been this year shooting the puck. I think he has 54 shots this year.
20 goals.
And he's got 20 goals. Like, it's been insane. Jake Gensel now is on a 6-game goal streak. He's red hot. He's in the top 5 in scoring along with Braden Point.
You know who's not?
Steven Stamkos.
It's truth.
It's the truth.
Nothing against
you brought up the number of their 5v5 play.
As after 25 games last year, they were minus 17 5v5. This year they were plus 25.
There you go.
Wow.
They're not having to get when they need Vasilevsky to stand on his head, he has. They haven't needed it lately. It was nice to see against Seattle. Like, poor Jonas Johansson, for whatever reason, whenever he plays, the Lightning just have breakdowns in front of him. They had it to start the game, but then they turned it around and they obviously scored 5 goals. Declan Carlisle comes up and gets a goal.
How about that?
His first career NHL goal. They didn't even have Hedman or Chernak, and they still are blowing teams out of the water. So yeah. I think they're in a really good spot right now. Yeah,
they come home. What do they get? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games this week for the holidays. So get your ass out there and come see me at the Tampa Bay Lightning. A fabulous team that pays their players and has a great location.
The Lightning and the Bucks are doing such the heavy lifting.
Oh,
right
God, are they ever. It's good to be in Tampa Bay, isn't it? Yeah. A few weeks ago, it wasn't so good.
No.
A few weeks ago, it was really bad.
Yeah.
But now it's turned around nicely.
Yeah.
It's turned around nicely. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Just go there right now. Please like and subscribe to JP Peterson Show and FanStream Sports. Got lots of great content there for you. Also on our Apple and Spotify and our new Twitter page at the JP Peterson Show. Please like that as well. We appreciate you sharing the show, and our numbers have been fantastic. We really appreciate all you guys who have become and ladies who have become fans. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.